Originally released in 2012, Manos: The Hands of Fate is a PC game adaptation of the 1966 low-budget B-movie of the same name that got popular by virtue of being featured on the Mystery Science Theater 3000 series. What I'm playing here is the Director's Cut, added to the Steam service in 2015 and featuring a number of visual upgrades from the original version. Now, I've never played the original version, but from what I could tell from the various screenshots that I've seen and some various videos, this Director's Cut adds some additional graphical enhancements and touch-ups. This grain filter, for example, wasn't in the original release, nor was this level that's based on cult film Plan 9 from Outer Space that exists for some reason. Also, you could play as Turgo if you beat the game once, so yay? I don't know, somebody might find the appeal in that. I really didn't, but, you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess. Here's the deal. If you have any remote familiarity with either of the two angry video game nerd games released in recent years, then you'll be able to catch on rather quickly with Manos, as this serves as something of a prototype for the formula found in those games. Basically, you control the main character Michael through 8 levels of side-scrolling platforming action to save his family from the Master. Armed with a pistol, you venture through levels killing enemies, collecting coins and pickups, and eventually making your way over to the boss. Defeat the boss to move on to the next level, pretty straightforward stuff. Along the way, there are pickups that you can acquire by destroying these stone hands. There are hearts that will restore your health, there are coins that gives you a higher score, you can find a shotgun that will give you additional firepower until you get hit or die, and most importantly, each stage has a hand of fate that not only adds a heart to your health meter, or equivalent, but you'll need to collect all these hands in each of the game's 8 stages to attain the game's true ending. The game does keep track of your progress up until you start a new game, and you can only save one game at a time, so if you start anew, you start all the way anew, so be mindful before starting a new game. Though Manos: The Hands of Fate is a game where you shoot things with a gun, there's a decidedly Castlevanian mindset to the overall game design, and I'm not just talking about the visual aspect. You have stone hands that you destroy to unveil power-ups similar to the candles of Vania. There are stairs you can climb, though these are more akin to slopes and not something you need to press up or down to climb. There's that one stage where the screen shakes and drops down similar to the one tower in Dracula's Curse. Some of the enemies act similarly to a couple of Vania annoyances, and of course, there's also some blocks that can be destroyed to unveil greater prizes. What Castlevania doesn't have is a stage where you flew a plane around and shot down monsters. Actually, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. We already have the Castlevania fighting game and the Castlevania pachinko machine with the erotic violence. Why not a Castlevania shmup? I'm being sincere, by the way. Control in Manos is simple and straightforward. One button jump, the other shoots. Pretty simple to understand, and it works. It's tight, responsive, perhaps a bit too responsive considering this was supposed to be a throwback to bad licensed video games, but I honestly don't get that vibe from this. Manos has a couple minor quibbles. A bit of a slippery step when you stop, a couple questionable enemy placements here and there, the somewhat moderate challenge level, the otherwise short length of the game. Even with the additional extra level in the Director's Cut, there's only 8 levels and they go by rather quickly, with the exception of the auto-scrolling levels. That one tends to drag a bit, and the one save games thing, but on a whole, it never really feels like a bad game, more like a above average one at best. Manos adopts an 8-bit NES style of pixel artwork for its visuals, basically trying to mimic something that would come out of an NES, except a little more touched up to take advantage of extra colors and things of that nature. Though the overall level design takes inspiration from the old Castlevania games, there's also a bit of a Zelda 2 vibe in there, notably this cave level which looks eerily similar to a cavern from Zelda 2. The blocks kinda give me that impression. The Director's Cut that's on Steam has this additional filter that makes the picture look more like an old film projection, what with the grain, the lighting, and all that stuff. It's a nice touch that doesn't detract too much from the experience, but you could always turn it off if you prefer. In between levels you have these intermissions which are nicely rendered and nowhere near as cartoonish as the in-game bits. In terms of nailing that 8-bit NES-ish style, Manos does an adequate job of it, and that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. There's not much to say in regards to sound in Manos. It sounds 8-bit-ish, and it fits the material obviously. The game also includes some sampled sounds like digitized werewolf howls and things of that nature on occasion, so that's a nice touch. Anyone who has seen the feature film and knows all the ins and outs of it will recognize a few tunes from the soundtrack being given a rather significant upgrade, sounding like something that has actual production values behind it, and that's not a bad thing. But in all seriousness, the tunes are well composed, evoking some moody atmosphere stuff and again, not sounding utterly cheap and awful. Sound effects are stock 8-bit sounding sound effects, they're fine, who cares? Next. Overall, Manos the Hands of Fate is simple, straightforward fare that has a couple added bits to increase the replay value somewhat, but once you've done all there is to do, there's not much else to the game. It plays well enough, poses enough of a challenge while it lasts, and is a well-crafted tribute to an otherwise horrible movie. If you're a fan of the film in either its original cult form or the MST3000 treatment and you like old school side-scrolling platformers, then Manos is a game worth checking out. It may be a cheapo, it may be an oldie, but it's still a goodie for a short while at least. Then you want to go back to Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. Or the sequel. Actually, I still have to play the sequel. One of these days. Anyways. Bye.